What's up, rockers? Metal Dave here, along with my co-host Jason McMaster. Welcome to another episode of the Talk Louder podcast. Today we are joined by singer, songwriter, musician Tuk Smith. Tuk is out of Atlanta originally. He currently resides in Nashville. He's been around for a while. He was previously in a band called The Biters. He's been out on his own now for a number of years. Just put out a new single called Take the Long Way. Has another one called Glory Bound. And we learned today that he is sort of teasing singles every 5 weeks leading up to an album that has the release date of tentatively in August. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that he'll have a full-length album out in August, sometime later this year, it's safe to say. And in the meantime, couple of great singles out now. There's videos for him. Again, Take the Long Way and Glory Bound. So he was kind enough to join us today. And we've had Tuk on the show before, and we know him a little bit off camera. And he is a great personality and so much fun to hang out with. And today was no different. So we were really glad to have him.
Yeah, I like his where he's coming from as a songwriter because he's not afraid to show his influences and the stories he told us today confirmed a lot of the things that you might think when you hear a couple of his tunes. His love for Cheap Trick. He tells us some good Cheap Trick stuff.
Yeah.
He tells us some great Kiss stuff. And he's a little heated in this episode as well. And I like it. I like it that he's kind of giving some full disclosure moments and basically just talking about when we talk to him prior, it's one or two times before today, he today just touches on it, but he reminded me that he had small town upbringing, low income housing, stuff like that in Atlanta, and we have a lot of the same growing pains in some ways about gentrification, regentification. And I think the three of us actually chimed in on, man, I remember back when it used to be, there's a little bit of, you new kids get off my yard.
Yeah.
Kind of not you kids get off you new kids get off my yard, so there's a little bit of that. And it was great to see Tuk have his opinions, which can sometimes mirror our opinions about what's what.
Yeah.
But really cool and fun to talk to. And if anyone were to walk into, I don't know, a Starbucks and see Tuk standing at the counter, they would probably be like, this guy is somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's definitely got a look. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, just you hear him talk and you hear him comment and you hear him joke and you hear him, just like, this guy is entertaining me and I don't know who the fuck he is. And we're in a Starbucks. So he's that kind of guy. And
well, he's a front man, so he's extroverted in those ways.
That's admirable. And he's going to stand up as soon as he notices that you have got his attention. So or the other way around.
He's got your attention.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I love his fighting spirit. He's been knocked down by the industry numerous times in big bad ways too. I mean, we're talking like he was on the stadium. He was announced on the stadium tour with Motley Crue and Def Leppard. That didn't work out. He recorded an album with super producer Rob Cavallo, who's worked with Green Day and My Chemical Romance. That was recorded but never released because it's tied up in record label politics. So that was a big letdown for him. COVID ground everything to a halt. His early band, the Biters, or Biters as they tend to be called, broke up. So he is, he's had his share of hard knocks, but he's up again and swinging and writing great tunes, always writing great tunes. And I'm just happy to see him on his feet, still swinging and putting out great music. If you're a fan of Cheap Trick, Thin Lizzy, Tom Petty, bands like that, that power pop, hard rock kind of stuff, guitar driven, but very hooky, super memorable choruses. You owe it to yourself to check out Tuk Smith if you're not familiar. So we had a great time talking to him. Tuk Smith today on the Talk Louder podcast.
I'm like, I don't know what the allergies are in fucking Tennessee. But like, bro, the Indians here called it like Death Valley or some shit because it's down in like a, you know, like a valley or whatever, and all the pollen and shit just collects. So that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Wow.
How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Man. How are you?
Good to see you guys.
Austin is bad on the allergy front as well.
Is that where you're at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Austin.
And speaking of
South by Southwest going on right now. Yeah.
Happening right now. That's
a chaotic shit show, and you guys are inside, right?
Yeah. We're at home with the door bolted and the blinds drawn.
Yeah.
But I will say that South by Southwest is the first time I ever saw you and met you guys. Of course, it was the Biters in those days, but you guys quickly gathered a little local following, and you were kind of the buzz around town. And I probably saw you like 3 times in 4 days or something like that.
That was like, we had just started being a band, and I don't even know how we were able to get those shows, but I remember bands like the Black Lips were from Atlanta. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Black Lips, and they would go to South by Southwest and like bust their ass, play 3 or 4 shows a day. And I was friends with them, and I was like, fuck, let's go do it. Dude, I remember like dragging a Marshall cabinet down 6th Street, pouring fucking sweat, going, get the fuck out of my way. Just like fucking crazy. And we would play 3, 4 shows a day. Brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't miss those. I don't miss those days.
Yeah. It's like if you live here after a while, it was all fun for the first few years, but Jason's been here forever. I'm going on almost 30 years. And then after about 10 or 12 years of that, you just say, no, let the tourists have all the fun. I'm going to stay home and try not to go out.
In its defense, in my defense, I should say, because I've slagged South by more than fucking anybody. I owe it to them, at least some, because that's partial reason the Toys got that big record deal. So
right.
Yeah.
I don't hate on it. Yeah. It's just not the same, right? It's not the same as it was anymore.
Amen. I couldn't have said it any better than that. It's a trade show. It used to be 3 days long, and it was all about the little guy. Now they don't care. Metallica headlines it. You know, it's a different thing now. So
the gentrification of the music festival.
Yes.
There you go again.
They tore down all the local breakfast spots and put up a First Watch.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
When I left Atlanta, that was like my city. That's where I learned how to be who I was. I loved it. And my neighborhood was so fucked up towards the end. They tore down my favorite breakfast spot. It was like this little locally owned place. And I would take bands there when I produced them. And we would go there when we were hungover. And, you know, you have a lot of memories, right?
Yeah.
And they closed it and put a Jimmy John's there. And I remember every time I started leaving the house, I was having like emotional reactions. Like, fuck this shit, you know? And I was like, I've got to get out of here because my quality of living is going to go down because I'm going to have anxiety. So now I live in Nashville, and I hate to say this, but they could build a fucking McDonald's. I wouldn't care. Yeah. Because I don't have that emotional attachment to it. You know, it's just kind of different when you move to another place.
I think that's where me and the 3 of us are agreeing that Austin has that same thing happening.
Yeah.
It has been happening over time, and it's kind of inevitable. It's going to happen. Everybody finds out how cool a place is, and then it just over time starts to fall.
Yeah. I've been telling people for years that I can't wait to get out of here, and I thought I'd never say that because when I got here, I was a kid in a candy store for like 15, 20 years.
Austin is still great, and there's a lot of wonderful things in it. And like Tuck was saying, this town made me, you know, just like Atlanta, you figured out Atlanta, and Atlanta loved you and helped you. It's the same with Austin.
Totally. And I'll always be like, I'm from Atlanta. It's not the same when I go back. The whole city looks like the inside. You know, like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids looks like I'm in a Target or some shit. It's not a Target.
That shit's real.
Look, and you know, people are like, Nashville's the same way. I hear people that have been here forever bitching about it, but I don't know where else to go. Right. You know, like where, like, are there, Atlanta outside used to be Athens in the 80s, I guess. They would talk about it, this small little cool artsy community. And that's what Austin was when I started going there.
Amen.
It was, and I still like it. Like, I'm not bad mouthing it, but all these cities are changing, but I haven't seen any cool, like weird collegey musical artsy towns pop up in their place.
You know, we could do a full episode on just this subject. And have you be the guest, just to kind of, because you've been around, towards the eastern seaboard, but the south side of it. So you would probably, hey, I have a question before we start talking about all things, new things, Tuck.
Wait, so you want to quit talking about gentrification and move on to rock and roll?
Yes.
So we can save it.
I get the hint.
So we can save it for our full episode about rock and roll gentrification.
I get the hint.
Yeah. Do you recall a tour? Maybe you were out. It could have been the Biters, and you were out on the West Coast. Would have been a while ago, dude. And I think we may have talked about this, but I don't remember it. Short-term memory. The maybe a tour with the Riverboat Gamblers.
That was another very early on tour with Biters. People would just ask us to go out. I do remember that tour.
Northern California.
I have a horrible memory, but yes,
Santa Cruz area.
Yeah,
and you guys went over to it was a night off, I think, or maybe pulled an all-nighter after a gig. And my younger brother, Randy McMaster, lived out there and was at the show, and then went to this, hung out with you guys because he's friends with the Gamblers. Like, pulled an all-nighter at a friend of his house, and he's hung. My little brother has hung out with you 100 years ago.
That was like a decade ago. I would say that's a decade ago.
He talks about it. He goes, "I know Tuck. We hung out." I'm like, really? Fucking small world.
The fucked up thing is I don't remember shit. It's
okay.
It's a blur.
I'm like a goldfish brain. Like, like I can remember fucking really weird shit, but I have no recollection. I feel like I woke up yesterday.
I'm going to use that goldfish brain.
Yeah, fucking 10 seconds. That's all I got.
Wow.
Well, hey man, it's great to see you. It's actually
you look good, man.
It was
thank you. I feel like shit. Yeah. Thank you. Goddamn allergies.
It was a year ago this weekend that we saw you at Rockin' Pod. I looked at the calendar and it was like, whoa, so weird that we're having you today because it was almost exactly a year ago.
Happy anniversary
on the show.
Thank you.
Happy anniversary.
I do remember that interview and I had a great time.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I'm not a goldfish, like a fucking catfish brain or something.
Yeah. Step up a level. Yeah. Let's talk about your new music.
Yeah, buddy.
Man, dude, you've been knocked down so many times. I got to believe that the third time's a charm. You went through, you had the Biters disbanded. Then you had the album with Rob Cavallo that was shelved. Then you had the stadium tour that fell apart. You COVID put a stop to everything. I think this is your time, man. Are you feeling hopeful? Because you got some great songs coming out. You're one of these guys that's kind of taken the approach of doing, singles rather than an album. But what I'm hearing is great. And what I've heard all along is always great. You're a great songwriter. So how are you feeling? How's your headspace about ready to take on the music business yet again?
It's really weird. And I think a lot of artists go through this. Some days I wake up and I think I can take on the fucking world. Like I'm invincible. And then I'll wake up the next day and I feel like I'm just fucking throwing pebbles at an army tank. Just dink, dink. Like I just want to be done. So the best case scenario is to kind of hover somewhere in there, like a humble confidence that can manage your expectations. So that's where I try to stay. Look,
Good
dude,
choice.
I have no look, I'm not delusional. I'm not about to be a pop star. At this point, I have to accept that I'm probably not the mainstream consumer's cup of tea. And I have to look towards people like Paul Westerberg or Jesse Malin or Butch Walker or Tommy Stinson, these kind of like mid-level heroes. It's sad for me to say, I would love to be recognized as the Springsteens and the Pettys and the Phil Lynotts. But at this point, just what the consumer wants and the way the music industry is, I just don't have a place. It's the equivalent of playing jazz in 1986. But what really matters is I believe in my songs, and I feel like I'm very inspired. And I know every artist says this. I just feel like I'm writing the best songs I've ever written. And all of that just feels so natural. And I don't really feel any pull from the universe. Like I'm not feeling any friction with any of this at all. So that must mean I'm going in the right direction.
You say you're not sure, and I've heard you say this before, you're not sure there's a place for you. And I would disagree, man, because, the old saying, a great song is a great song. Yes, you look like a rocker. Yes, it might take people a while to find you. But when I hear your songs, I think to myself, if anybody heard this on their radio while they're driving down the highway with the windows down, you cannot tell me you don't love this. It's just, you've got the big hooks, the big choruses. It's, you can sing along to it. And I mean, I don't see why there's not a place for Tuk Smith on the radio in sort of the bigger mainstream. A great song is a great song, man.
Look, I want to agree with you, and I do, but the reality is I don't really think the song, look, I spent so long trying to figure out how to perfect the craft of songwriting. It's literally my passion. I feel like right when I really feel like I'm kind of figuring it out, social media metrics are more important than the song. Like literally labels and booking agents and managers, they do not give a fuck about the song right now. It's about the first thing they're going to say is, before they ask to hear your stuff, they say, what's your social media following? What are your TikTok numbers like? Yeah. I'm not lying. And they want to know what your streaming numbers are. And the fact of the matter is all that shit can be falsified. That's why there's bands with 2 million monthly Spotify listeners that can't sell 50 tickets at the Whiskey on Friday night. And it's fucking the music industry up and there's no checks and balances. So unfortunately, the industry is still being driven by like label bosses and big agents and things like that. Number two, booking agencies that are putting bands on tour are infested with buy-on bands. So what you have is somebody like me who comes from humble beginnings, humble backgrounds, just trying to carve out a living. I want to get on these tours and they'll go, look, somebody will pay $1,000 a show to get on this. Sorry, it's just business. Yeah. Right. And I've lost so many tours to buy-on bands. So the industry is just kind of different nowadays. And that's why I'm choosing not to participate. Yeah. Because I've tried and I'm like, I just don't have a place in this. I know that's doom and gloom, but it's the truth.
Well, your experience. Okay. So it's your reality.
I feel like you're
a place of experience.
Yeah. I'm sorry to talk over you, Dave. I'm so good at it though. Listen, I feel like you're talking so much biblical truth right now. And it's the reason that a lot of my friends have chosen the dark side and just formed cover bands, and they make shit tons of money playing covers. It's and I don't see you ever doing that. No. I see your true passion, and you're going to continue with what you've got going on. I feel like you would be a fantastic singer, songwriter, producer type of, you should have a label. You should be working for a label. There should be something, because I feel like you're the kind of, even personality, Tuck. I feel like they're just what Dave and I love about you is you can find your own way. It's almost like that old saying, you missed your calling, right? Because you're hitting the wall. You're throwing pebbles at the tank when your dream, a job is waiting for you somewhere. I just don't think that there's a title for it other than producer, songwriter. You know what I mean? I feel like maybe there's another place for you somewhere, but keep going with who gives a shit if it's pebbles in your hand and not tank destroyers, because your songs are tank destroyers.
Thank you. Well, look, man, I really want to be respected as a songwriter. I put so much effort into trying to keep it fucking real, because everything nowadays is like fake celebrity worship, fake food. Everything's made out of fucking plastic. And I feel like this is like almost a punk rock mentality era. This should be the anti-establishment era where you go, fuck that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that, because the reason why I got into punk and rock and roll was kind of fuck the man, right? I'm not normal. I'm weirdo. That's what rock and roll was all about.
That's right.
Now, a lot of people are just making shit because they want people to like it, or they think they're going to. And to me, that's just like polluting the fucking water. So I'm so fed up with it. I said, I'm not participating. I'm going to have my food truck in the fucking back of the parking lot, and y'all can kiss my ass. And dude, that's a hard decision to do, where you're like, I'm going to quit participating.
Yeah. Well, so a lot of the things we just discussed, you reference quite blatantly in the video for Take the Long Way. Great song. And you guys, the band looks like you're having a lot of fun taking jabs at the music industry. First of all, first thing I noticed in that video was Matt Gabbs.
Yeah.
So Matt was the guitar player in Biters, and I was like, what's he doing back in the video? So I guess you guys have sort of reconciled or have maintained a friendship over the years or whatever.
First of all this shit I'm talking doom and gloom, I'd like to say I've had the most fun making this record that I have ever had, and I'm more excited about the music and what I'm able to put out and being the master of my own destiny. I wake up like, fuck yeah. So with all the negatives, the positive is like I get chill bumps because I'm literally making 75% of the record with this gear in front of me that you can't see. I sit here and sing the songs in this mic, and I use the amps here, and that's fucking awesome, right? Yeah. That I can just kind of do that. It's like I say, it's farm to table as fuck. Now, regarding Matt Gabbs, we've maintained a relationship for a while. What happened was my guitar player, Ricky, got a paying gig, like a salaried, I guess, I'm assuming, with Grace Potter, which he deserves. He's a great guitar player. And I'm not able to keep him busy or keep him on a salary. So he definitely had my blessing. Me and Ricky ended on great terms, and I was just going to shoot the video as a 3-piece, or I was just going to have somebody stand in. And I'm like, if I'm going to have somebody be in the music video, it's got to be somebody that I have history with, that I love, that means something to me. And I just said, hey, Matt, dude, I got a wild hair. If I get you a hotel room and your flight, will you just come down and be in the video? And he's like, fuck yeah, dude. Because, I produced the Ravagers record. I'm about to go up to Baltimore again in April and start working on their next record. Yeah. And so we're still all very close and friends, and we work together, and Matt's building me a guitar right now. And I just felt like it just felt right, and it felt funny, and it kind of stirred the pot with my Biters fans and got some people thinking he was back in the band. I don't know. It's just kind of fun, mischievous bullshit,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's then the second thing I noticed there's a line right near the top of the song that says, I haven't felt the same since I was thrown out of the stadium. Yeah. Obviously a reference to the stadium tour. Yeah. So and you mentioned earlier that you lose a lot of these big gigs to buy-on bands. So I was going to ask you a question, and then I decided maybe I wouldn't, but now I'm going to, because you brought it up. I remember when the stadium tour was announced, obviously everybody knows Motley Crue, Poison, Def Leppard, Joan Jett. And then there's this Tuk Smith on the bill. And there was a lot of people that were saying, who's Tuk Smith? He's got to be a buy-on band, because there are bands much bigger than you that buy on to big tours all the time. This is just a known practice in the industry.
Totally.
But that apparently wasn't the case for you. So,
No.
so what was it when the stadium tour sort of reconvened that kept you off of it?
I was just fucking COVID canceled the tour for 2 years. That label, I mean, I can give you I signed an NDA about some certain things, but I can talk about it. It just depends how much you want to talk about it. But, you know, we were fighting with that label. Look, that label was great. They let me make the kind of record I want. I'm not going to badmouth them in any way because I really like the owner, Alan Kovac. That's Motley Crue's manager.
What's the label?
It was called Better Noise.
Okay.
And they were very supportive, and they let me make the record I want. They didn't A&R me. They loved my songs. They let me do my art direction and everything, which is very, very rare that they let an artist have their vision on those kind of labels. And they did. So kudos. Thing is, I sat around for COVID for 2 fucking years, and they were not going to release my record or let me release any more songs. And my booking agent wasn't going to book me in the clubs. Their like protocol for that label was you had to be on a shed or stadium size tour for them to release your music. Now, some of those bands on the label were waiting in purgatory for 5 or 6 years with no songs released because they could not get them a tour.
Wow.
Right? I was lucky enough to get that tour because the owner of the label managed Motley Crue, and Motley Crue, it was Motley Crue's label. What Live Nation, the problem they're having is all these bands are retiring, they're dying or retiring, and there's no other rock bands to fill it. You see them trying to get bands like Papa Roach to stadium level to be the next Journey and Limp Bizkit. They're trying to push these bands into what like a Heart or Def Leppard is now, right?
Yeah.
You see it happening. They're pushing them to the top of the festivals. So their thought, I think, with putting me on was like, we need to get newer bands in here in front of this classic rock audience so we can start building them to be a stadium band in 20 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So what they were doing was he picked me because of my songs. He was like, I'm looking for somebody with your look and this kind of songs. So he put me on retainer. He couldn't find a rock and roll band like me. And it was cool and it was great and everything. But what happened during COVID was, look, dude, people get emotional. I was sitting on my ass. I'm like, you guys won't. I was like, can I just release other songs that aren't on the label? And when COVID picks up, we resume. Because I'm sitting here with my dick in my hand in the house every day. I have a studio. Let me fucking go release some songs.
Right.
Hold the contract. And they were not willing to negotiate whatsoever. It was March. When did COVID end? 2021?
Ish.
It was, well,
The summer of 2021 or 2020?
Yeah, maybe the summer of 2020.
When did the Motley Crue start? Summer of 2020 or 2021?
I think by the time I saw it, it was 2020. Oh, no, it was 22. Correct. Yes.
Okay.
22. Late 22.
So in March of 2022, I was like, they're not going to let this tour happen. I'd been fighting with them like crazy, right? And my manager had been fighting with them. And I was like, dude, I'm going to do this fucking tour. I want to play for 15 minutes. That was my set time.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play before doors open, or I'm going to play to fucking 50 people.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm like, I'm sitting here in purgatory to go in debt to play for fucking 50 people. And the amount of money I was getting paid was not enough to even cover half of my overhead.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not ungrateful. It was an amazing experience. And I wanted to do it and figure out how it was going to work. But at that point, I like went into like fucking asshole mode. And I was like, I'd rather go play the fucking punk clubs again than sit on my fucking ass. Cause bands are already out playing again.
Right.
And I was like, book me some fucking shows. So I think I just pissed them off to the point where they're like, look, we love you, but if you want to leave, you can leave. And I left and they kept my record. They wouldn't give it back. And then look, dude, within 2 weeks, they had another band in there. They didn't give a fuck about me. You know what I mean? I was like, boom, replaced, right? And that band just swooped right in there. And that shows you, don't get, these, I say they wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire.
Yeah.
And so look, there's a lot of people that label that I loved, and it was a dream to do a stadium tour, dude, to fucking walk off stage and pass Joan Jett walking on. I mean, how cool would that have been?
Yeah. Well, I know that it would have been a huge opportunity for you, but you know what? I think even having your name on the bill and your name in the music news for that length of time, even though it never transpired, that probably paid some dividends. People out there know who you are now that might not have known. They're like, oh yeah, I saw he was supposed to be on the stadium tour, but at least they've heard of you now.
Totally. Yeah, man. I don't know. Do I regret it? I don't know.
Well, you can't stop and think about it. You're on your way. You're doing other things. And tell us about your other single that just came out, Glory Bound. Again, I don't want to keep harping on your past, but this is your video, and you chose to celebrate the past. And so there's a lot of footage of the Biters days in this video. One of the things I always wanted to ask you about is that stunt on the van. That was in the So Many Nights video. This was a Biters tune, but you have some of that footage in the video for Glory Bound. I don't know if Jason's seen this, but you guys are in a parking lot and nobody's driving the van, and some of your guys are standing on the roof of it and you're running alongside of it. How did you film that and not get in trouble, or even, worse, somebody get hurt or killed?
It's called Ghost Riding the Whip. It's funnier for me just to tell the truth, like full disclosure, instead of trying to have a facade. So look, the reality is I'm doing this shit independent. I don't have really hardly any budget to do music videos. So to me, like, sometimes not having budget forces you to be creative. Like, take the long way. My overhead was cardboard bum signs.
Yeah.
And I would have never thought of that idea if I had more money. Right. So to me, with Glory Bound, just thinking about how I wrote the song, I was like, let's do something like that kind of, because a lot of people coming in now don't know where I came from. I get like trolls on my things like, this guy's a flash in the fucking pan, going nowhere, hang it up. Like, they don't know that, like, I've been doing this over a decade and I've toured all over the world constantly. So I was like, fuck it, let's just kind of give people an anthology video, essentially. Yeah. Now, the other thing that I'm very blessed that made it work was one of my best friends, Raheem. I've shot every video except for maybe one with him. And he's been from Atlanta. So I've hired him to do shoots and follow him around. He's got all this footage in a hard drive. Now, we were not able to use footage from music videos that were owned by labels and things.
Right.
So it was just like B-roll and outtakes and things. But yeah, dude, that van shit was dangerous as fuck. And when I hit my head with that bottle, that's real. Like, I cut my head, and my dad was there at that show, and he said, I was bleeding, and he goes, put some super glue on it, boy. You'll be all right. That's what he said.
Fatherly advice. I love it.
Yeah, but look, man, that stuff brings up a lot of emotions and everything, positive, negative. I mean, it's been a crazy ride. And like with my goldfish brain, I don't remember a lot of that stuff in those shows and things. And it's been fucking crazy, man. It really has.
I know you've mentioned in the past that that punk rock was sort of a place where you found some comfort when you were a kid. You gravitated towards it. It made you feel welcome. It was your tribe. It was your people. Yeah. I was wondering, what was the first punk rock concert you went to as a kid?
Definitely like local shows at the train depot.
Yeah.
Like, I lived in a very, very small rural town, and I've talked about it. It's, the medium household income was like probably $26,000. I've looked it up. There was nothing going on. So you go to the train station, and like the freaks from a 30-mile radius go and watch people play on a concrete floor. So I've always kind of had that DIY mentality, but I would go to punk shows. I remember when I don't know, dude, I've been to so many, but yeah, the punk was the gateway into rock and roll.
Yeah.
Because when you're in you figure out what bands they like and everything. That's what got me into glam and things like that. Like, you know, I loved the Dead Boys, and then when you find out Guns N' Roses covers them, et cetera, you know, and you get into the Clash, and you get into Mott and the Hoople and things like that. And I talk about it all the time. Like, I really traced it back. So punk rock was a great just gateway for music for me.
Yeah. Yeah. You during the pandemic, you did a cover of the Kiss song "Hard Luck Woman," and you did a video for it. And you've got your face painted up like Paul Stanley, and you're doing this Kiss song. I wanted to know now. Peter Criss obviously.
You guys are awesome. Kiss. You guys are awesome, by the way. Ask it. Yeah.
Why did you paint your face up like Paul Stanley when Peter Criss actually sang the Kiss song?
Why not?
Okay. Because Paul Stanley wrote that song. Number one,
right,
and that's why. And number two, if I identify with Paul Stanley as my Kiss spirit animal.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would I dress up like Peter Criss?
Yeah, Peter Criss doesn't even want to be Peter Criss.
Let me make another point. It was the middle of the pandemic, and that label I was on wanted me to do cover songs. And I did it begrudgingly. But look, I did it for fun. It was just, there was no thought behind it. I'm like, I love this song. I'll do it. Fuck, let me put some Kiss makeup on. I'll never do that shit again. I'll never fuck with anything Kiss ever again, because the legions of angry middle-aged Kiss fans were so fucking enraged at me that I could not believe it. And I just want to go, it was just for fun. I'm not cosplaying. It's not a tribute. Dude, they were fucking mad as hell. And I did this show during the pandemic called Tuck's Rock and Roll Funhouse. I tried to do it. It was pretty hard, but I did this section called Fuck Tuck, and it was all these people online talking shit, and it was all angry Kiss dudes. And it was so fucking funny, the shit they were saying. And I would pull up their Facebook photos of them, like holding fish up and shit, or like drunk drinking beer, just like, oh, and like, dude, it was awesome. So yeah, good memories.
Wow.
Yeah. Did you ever have any issues with Paul Stanley because of appropriating his likeness in a video or anything?
Well, I heard they go after people.
Yeah, that's why I asked.
Like that. You know, my manager's good friends with Doc McGee, so hopefully I could stop that if that happened.
Yeah. That's a good friend to have then. If yeah.
Well, I don't know him. I'm just hoping that my manager could squash it.
Yeah.
It would suck if Paul Stanley put a cease and desist for me.
Yeah, you wouldn't want your spirit animal to be mad at you.
No, I got my Kiss boots are right here, buddy. I'm a huge fan. They're on display in my studio at all times. You know what I mean? Well,
nice. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I have the Gene Simmons boots.
Yeah.
Close by as well.
So that's who you identify.
Gene has always been my spirit.
If you did a cover of Strutter, I mean, like, you would probably dress like Gene Simmons and sing it, even if Paul sang it. Who gives a fuck?
He's done it.
Yeah.
Fucking anal mad motherfuckers.
It could happen again. The funny thing is I'm a little bit butthurt because no one got mad at me in my videos.
Yeah.
So
put it on Facebook and see what happens.
Well, I did.
It's out there.
Yeah, it's out there.
I'll find it. Yeah. Tell us about Rick Nielsen. You had a chance to jam with him, and I know for you that had to be a huge highlight.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
I've actually got to play Surrender with Cheap Trick twice. Definite highlights of my career, because obviously I'm a Cheap Trick freak. They're one of my biggest influences. And I just look, dude, for Rick to like my band that I had and let me do that, it just shows you how fucking awesome he is.
Yeah.
He's just the coolest dude. And that day, that the first time I really got to talk with him and everything, is I got hired by Orange Amps to go and do like a rig rundown with him.
Yeah.
Because Orange is based out of Atlanta right now.
Okay.
And, you know, I had all these questions. I wasn't nervous, but look, dude, you're sitting in a stadium on the stage before it's open with Rick Nielsen, and I'm interviewing him. And I'm like, if he smells any blood in the water, he's going to eat me alive. Because you know his personality, right?
Yeah.
So I started fucking with him and everything, and he ended up liking me. This is how crazy, if you want to hear the story.
Yeah.
It happened. Hold on, let me get my dog. Shut up!
He's all right.
So I'm interviewing Rick Nielsen, talking about orange amps and everything. And it was just a fluke that I got hired because one of the guys that films for Orange was like, we need a rocker. I know Tuk. So somebody was in, like, doors were just about to open, and this person comes up and it's like, hey, Rick, blah, blah, blah. And they knew each other. And he goes, oh, they're in a Cheap Trick cover band and they're one of the best. And he goes, if anything happens to Robin, I can just call them. He said that. And I said, well, if you ever need somebody cute and cool to come fucking play with you, if Robin's out or whatever, you can just call me. Joking, right? And he goes, cool. Well, you'll come up and play tonight. What song you want to do? I said, Surrender. He goes, cool. That was it.
Wow.
I thought he was joking.
Wow. How many people were you playing in front of? I mean, it's
20.
Cheap Trick.
It was fucking Heart and Cheap Trick.
Oh, God.
That's a shed show.
Dude.
Yeah.
It's huge. So what I'm saying is just me fucking around with him. He's like, all right, bitch.
Yeah.
Come up here and play.
Yeah.
So
I knew the song, and he said the guy from Pearl Jam or whatever came up a couple weeks ago. There's like all these modulations in the song.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it changes like half steps, and I knew him, and he was like trying to sing. I was like, I got it, dude. I fucking know this shit. It's like my favorite song. Definite highlight. And then we played with them in Green Bay. My band opened for them, Restless Hearts in Green Bay, and he brought me up to play, and he brought the band up, and Biters actually got to open for them too. Just one-offs. It was like so weird.
So when you're interviewing
Highlights.
him for Orange and he on the spot tells you to come up and play, do you have your guitar with you or do you play one of his?
No, I play one of his, and his guitar tech just goes, here, you can play that one. So like in the video, the Glory Band video, there's footage. Raheem put it in there. It's him showing me the guitar that I'm going to play.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Look, and I was fucking plugged in.
Yeah.
Like it was the real deal. That's how crazy he is. You know how many bands are probably like so anal about things and are like so stressed. He was like, fucking, I don't know if you can play it or not. Here you go, plug in.
Yeah.
It's just cool. You can hear how excited I am talking about it. I'm like stoked.
I love
know,
it.
that's
I
why
love
I
it. It's
had
the
to
best.
ask.
That's the best part. The cool thing is it said, like you already said it says a lot about Rick. He knew you could play that fucking song just because of the way you are.
Well, that's a compliment. But look, dude, it was
That's
fucking
right.
awesome. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool, man.
Yeah.
Have you ever?
It's been like 5 years. I'm 6 years. I'm still smiling ear to ear.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll be smiling till
Keep smiling, man.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you'll be smiling forever on that one. That's why I had to ask about it because I know that's one of your heroes, and it was a huge honor.
It would be like him or like Tom Petty or playing with Phil and I. Those would be like my top one.
Yeah.
So definitely a bucket list.
Have you ever thought about? I know you're not much of an album guy these days, and I understand. But have you ever considered? I know you play multiple instruments. Have you ever considered recording either a song or an album where you play all the instruments? It's a total Tuk Smith effort.
Well, first of all, there is an album coming with this.
Okay.
In August, 10 songs.
Okay. Great.
Everything's with the mixer now. I'm just releasing more singles to kind of feed. Look, it's about social media and it's about feeding. Look, as much as I talk about how much I don't like today's model, I do have to participate, right?
Sure.
So I'm just giving the social media shit and giving the digital streaming platforms a lot of music to kind of build the hype. So 6 singles, and then I'll release with the 6 singles will come 5 songs. So essentially, instead of 3 singles and 7 songs, it's 6 singles with the record. So on this album, I'm playing everything but drums and bass. So all the guitars, really, pianos, synths, all the vocals. I can't play drums, but if I learn, I could program the drums.
Yeah.
Because my demos have programmed drums on them, and that's how we track. I mute those.
Right.
and then
Right.
we play to like the thing. But yeah, I could do that for sure.
Do you have a working title for this album?
I do. Yeah.
Can you share it?
I'm going to, next single, I'll announce it. Yeah.
Okay. And it's coming out in August, the album?
Yeah. Well, look, here's the thing. There's no team. Like I have a team, but like as far as a label, it's me doing all the creative. And then I have a partner helping me with the label. But if I fuck up or get the flu for 2 weeks, it fucks the whole schedule up. As of now, I'm on track. So if I can stay on track and everything, it'll be a single every 6 weeks. It should land August 22nd.
Nice. Man, that's awesome. I thought we were going to just get, and I'm not complaining because I'm loving the singles, but it's nice to know that you've actually got a compiled body of work that we're going to be able to add to the collection.
10 songs, 75% were recorded in this little studio I'm in right now. And it's my favorite shit I've ever done. It's very, very, that kind of like this hard edge power pop, as I call it. Because, power pop is such, people think of like kind of bubble gum. What I'm doing is technically power pop. It's just more power than pop, I guess I would say. So the whole album's more of that vibe.
And I've always heard your underlying influences as accessible as you can make a song. And that's what I was saying earlier. Like your songs to me, if anyone would give them the chance, they're like ear candy. They're going to be stuck in your head forever. Now, someone like me and Jason who understand your influences, I can hear the Thin Lizzy. I can hear the Tom Petty. I can hear the Bruce Springsteen. I can hear the Cheap Trick. I can hear the Knack. Big Star, things like that. Other people might not know that, and they don't need to know that. All they need to know is that the Tuk Smith song that's coming through the speakers is catchy, and I like it.
Yep. I agree. I think like trying to include all of your influences and make like your own recipe is important, but also make it where somebody that's not a musicologist or a record collector, because this is really catchy, well-written rock and roll.
Exactly.
And that's what I try to do. And I turn some of the hipsters off, and I'm a little bit not palatable enough for the common consumer. But that's okay. There's probably a big middle ground right there, right?
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
think that's great that you're not for mass consumption.
It's going to remain our best kept secret. Yeah.
I don't want that. And it's stuck. Dude, I'm the guy that gets like messages once a week, sometimes a couple times a week, like you're underrated, or like, I can't believe you're not bigger, and I'm like, fuck, this sucks. So look, dude, you start reflecting and doing a lot of reflection on yourself and go, am I fucking this up really bad? And yeah, there's some self-sabotage, but look, dude, it's a weird time to play the kind of rock and roll I'm playing.
And the business at large, even on its best days, is not very forgiving in a lot of cases. So yeah, I would just say keep doing what you're doing, because I love it. And I think there's a lot of other people that feel the same way. I know we weren't going to keep you longer than 45 minutes. So
I'm cool, man. Yeah. I'm chill.
Okay.
Chill.
I was going to ask, I've seen different videos of you in that room, and you just showed us your Kiss boots. I was going to ask you, what is your most prized piece of memorabilia in that room?
Oh yeah. I'll show you. Now in the attic, because I have a lot, but
museum, mom's basement.
Yeah, my house in Atlanta had a lot more. I've got some really cool records that
I like it that he has to go into the safe to take it out.
Yeah. We did ask for the most prize.
This is like, look, it's just like I'll have like memories of where I've got things, and I remember I was in is it like Prague or something on tour, on a day off on tour, and we're walking around and it's freezing cold. Look, I'm a huge Silverhead fan, and I found this Japanese Silverhead 7-inch, and it was expensive. I had to save my per diems for a while and eat nuts on this because I'm a huge Michael DeBar and Silverhead fan.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's cool. And then I have one more thing, if you don't mind.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
A fan gave me this super cool 1977 Bunny Carlos drumsticky sign,
Whoa.
which sits on my piano.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Wow. That's
just shit like that.
yeah, I get it. We get
That's
it.
a
Look
good
at our
one.
look at our rooms. I mean,
Yeah, you're in the right place for super nerd. May I share my most recent super
Please.
Please,
I'm lighting up, motherfucker. Please.
nerd. I got to get up and go get it. Hold on.
Go get it. Go
yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
You guys are cracking me up. I'm having a great time.
In the meantime, while he's back.
Dave probably already knows what I'm about to
I don't
disclose
know,
here.
man. It seems like you have something new every week.
Well,
like,
no,
what?
because we just did a recap on this. So I was recently on the Monsters of Rock cruise, and there was a bunch of people that you probably know on the cruise. It was tons of Nashvillians.
Totally. I got messages. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. So I had the pleasure of meeting hero Glenn Hughes.
Yeah.
And I got to take a picture with him. I got to sit down and eat breakfast with him. And there I am meeting him, and he's holding his coffee cup. And I have the coffee cup.
Okay. All right.
Glenn Hughes. He drank out of this.
I'm all about like nerd shit, but bro, you're way far off the fucking reservation. With
Did I break the nerd needle?
Yeah, dude. Like I'm scared of you. Like, yeah,
Dude,
you're gonna meet me. You're gonna like cut some of my fucking hair off and then rub it on your butt or
A
something.
stalker. Yeah. Yep.
I'm joking.
No, I promise that won't happen. But
that's pretty fucking cool. Seriously, you should have got him to sign it. That'd be cooler. I also love that you're wearing a Rose Tattoo shirt. One of my favorite bands.
Yeah, in the picture.
Oh,
yeah.
in the picture. Yeah. Well, you know, they were on the cruise last year. And I finally got to meet Angry Anderson, and I finally got to see them actually play those fucking songs, those classic songs live. And it was unbelievable seeing that old man work.
Yeah.
Just
I want to see him.
We've had him on the show. He was on our podcast.
He was really great on the show.
Dude, he's the reason I'm covered. That band's the reason why I'm covered in tattoos.
Here's another question I was going to ask.
I have a rose tattoo.
I need to get one, yeah.
When you're, talking with your hands, we can see, obviously you've got tats on the top of your hands and everywhere else. I was going to ask, who was your first rock and roll idol that had a tattoo that made you want to get a tattoo? Was it Angry Anderson?
Bon Scott.
Ah, okay.
Good one. I have
maybe my favorite frontman of all time.
I have a tattoo of Bon Scott on my arm to go with Dave's Angus Young tattoo on his arm.
There you go. Can I make a correction in that?
Bring it on.
I think my first below the arm tattoo I got because Michael Monroe had a Black Panther, and I got
one. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Right there, like Mike Monroe's got one just like that. And
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, Bon and Mike Monroe, and and then Rose Tattoo is why I just covered myself. But
those are some original bad boys.
Yeah.
Those are kind of
those
crazy.
are the front man, like Steve Vaders and fucking the fuck ups and the outlaws is what I liked, right?
Yeah, of course.
Because when you're picked on in high school and you're fucked with and stuff, you look to those because like they're fucking tough, right?
Yeah. And they embody the whole rebellious rock and roll spirit that appeals to you when you're listening to the music, Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You ready for the worst rock tattoo I got?
Yes. Yeah.
I took some OxyContin in Florida one time and got blacked out drinking all day. I don't remember anything. I'm not bragging about this. It's very shameful. And I woke and I don't know what happened, dude. But the next day when I came to, I had this fucking Desperado tattoo on my titty, right here. So Desperado. So there you go.
Wow. There you go, kids. Stay away from. Stay away from drugs and alcohol.
Stay away from Florida.
Bro, Florida OxyContin and Desperado. Dude. What a better fucking story.
Woo! Miami Beach. Fuck.
Yeah. We wrote there's a local guy here in town. His name is Houston. Jason knows him, and oddly
Houston
enough,
Richardson.
Yeah, Houston, who lives in Austin. Yeah. But Houston is the guy that dubbed me Metal Dave back when I first moved to Austin. I showed up in Austin with this really long, like Iron Maiden hair. And I immediately I gravitated towards all the punk rockers. And I kind of accidentally saw his band one night and I loved him. So then I started showing up at all their shows. And one day
And their rehearsals.
Yeah. I was just,
You
they
would
come up to me and they
bring
said,
beer. Dave would bring beer to their rehearsals.
yeah. So
That's how you get invited in, bro.
exactly, man.
He was
It
in.
wasn't lost on me, man. I figured it out. Anyway, known him for, 28 years or something. And because I was the long hair hanging out with all the punk rockers, they just called me Metal Dave. And I was probably the only guy in that group that had like Judas Priest and Iron Maiden in my record collection. They're all listening to Social Distortion in 7 Seconds and Screeching Weasel and stuff, No Effects and stuff like that. So we kind of grew to appreciate each other's record collections. Up to that point, I was into all the classics, Ramones, Misfits, Sex Pistols, Clash, Dead Boys. But they kind of took me a level deeper, and this was in the late 90s, early 2000s. So do the time frame and you know what we're talking about. Anyway, I used to help Houston write songs for his band, and I would show up at his front door with a 6-pack of tall boys, and he would meet me at the front door with a spiral notepad and a pencil. And he's like, here's what I'm thinking, and here's the riff. What you got? And so my job was writing lyrics. So
Very easy.
There was a line in one of the songs. This is a long way about telling the story.
I like it.
A line in one of the songs that said, I woke up with a new tattoo and drew a blank about last night. So it's kind of like, it said, tore up from the floor up, I'm a sore-eyed sight, woke up with a new tattoo and drew a blank about last night. That was it.
Nice.
So essentially, you spoke my experience into existence.
That's why I bring up the story. Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah, like some quantum rock and roll shit, right? And I see you got a Nick Curran shirt on. You want to talk about a tattooed bad motherfucker that could play guitar?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Nick gone too soon, and I was a huge fan of his band, the Flash Boys. I loved him.
My favorite tattoo that he had was the Problem Child across his shoulders on his back.
Oh, yeah. In the AC/DC font.
So good.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Nick was a great guy. So after all this talk about Tuck and your singles, and you've got an album on the way, what can you tell us about any possible tour plans? I know you're DIY or DIY as much as they come, and you said there is no team, but is there any plans to get in the van and bring this music to a dump near us?
Well, so DIY by necessity, not choice.
Right.
So it's just the card I've been dealt. But look, you want me to be honest? I can't get a U.S. agent to take me on. Nobody will take me on. I am planning a Europe tour that I'm going to start announcing, like UK, Spain, France. That'll be around the album release. And then my record's doing really good in Japan. So they're talking about bringing me over to Japan. Would I love to tour the US? Yes. I just don't have the bandwidth to book my own shows and tour right now. So I am looking for an agent. And in some cities I do pretty damn good and draw, $150, 200 people. So I don't know why I've had this hard a time getting an agent. But yeah, I would love to. But, my main focus is getting to UK and Europe and everything.
That's interesting.
So if you guys know any booking agents, let me know.
I feel like, Jason and I have friends that are in bands, and they actually do better overseas. They don't even bother putting a tour together in the States, but like Ginchi's band, the Oxys, they just got back from Spain. I know Junkyard goes overseas every couple of years. Frank Myers' bands, whoever he's playing with, he's always in Spain, it seems like.
Rhino Bucket's the same.
Rhino Bucket, yeah. It's interesting that
Danko Jones, who's Canadian, fucking lives in Europe. I mean, when he tours over there, it's rare that he'll sprinkle US and end up just living in Europe. So
yeah.
Danko was the first person I was the first tour I ever did in Europe with Biters. Was Danko took us.
Nice.
That's how cool of a guy he is.
I think I've seen flyers with, Danko Jones and featuring Biters. I think I've seen
that tour was a fucking disaster with management and stuff like that. Not on me or the band. Like that, we could do a whole nother podcast on that. I mean, the police were after us for the van being stolen. There were Xanax managers. One of the guy almost lit the fucking venue on fire with a cigarette. I mean, he was a good guy, but he too much pressure. Anyways, Danko I don't even know if he plays the States ever.
No.
Ever. He goes to Europe.
Yeah. Once in a while, though, I'll see like I think he was just
maybe
at the
Canada.
Viper Room. Oh, he lives in Canada, so he plays.
He'll
in
play Canada, but
yeah,
you're right, Jason. He did
the
a
Viper
leg on the
Room a
West.
couple years ago.
He did a leg on the West Coast with Junkyard.
Yeah, that's right.
That's probably what. Yeah, but he won't fuck with it, dude, because he can go over to Germany and play for 2,500 people.
Yeah,
and people eat it up and they love it.
He does well in the UK. He does little clubs and packs them and does great. And there's a place in like Wales or something that he has been playing for 20 years and he still plays there. It's like a kind of for the same, 150 people it's like a, reunion of sorts. So
Danko he's one of the archetypes I'm using for this. I'm calling this like my Tuk 3 5.0, whatever the fuck I'm doing now. I look to people like Danko. I've been trying to get his booking agent. I keep emailing because look, Danko makes a nice living. He has a tour bus. He fucking draws money. He gets to put out records. He supports himself. And, he does a couple European. He's doing just a Swedish tour.
Yeah.
Just in Scandinavia. That's not that big. And he's doing like 10 shows. I mean, it's a different world over there. Look at Mike Monroe, dude. If he comes here, he might draw 40 people in half the markets.
I know. Yeah.
And then he'll go to Japan and do like sell out the 3,000 cap.
Right.
Yeah.
Something else I want to say that's crazy is I went to the Marvelous 3 reunion shows and that motherfucker played Atlanta 3 nights in a row, over 3,000 sold out. I could not believe it. It was fucking pandemonium in his hometown, but I don't know if they could tour. And so people have these little pockets, right?
Right.
Yeah. I think you've got a pocket in Austin, so I'm gonna. If
I could draw 100 to 150 people there, it would be worth it. It's a long drive. So.
Yeah. Well, I hope it works out for you, man. I know you've been fighting an uphill battle for a long time, and it's not for lack of trying, and it's certainly not for lack of talent and songs. You've got some great stuff. Again, everyone listening, the latest singles are Take the Long Way and Glory Bound, with more singles on the way. And
5 weeks we got a new single, Little Renegade.
Renegade.
Right,
you can look out for that.
5 weeks we're dropping.
Yeah. All right. And an album somewhere towards the end of the year.
August, yeah.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
This episode will air probably a week or two prior to that Little Renegade drop.
Renegade.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I want to come back on closer to the album just because I have so much fun talking shit with you guys.
Oh, man,
Anytime.
You're always welcome on this show. You have my email. Just email me anytime and say, hey, when can you squeeze me in? I got something I want to talk about or whatever. And we'll get you in. We always enjoy talking to you.
Okay, cool. Well, look, man, thank you guys for supporting me. And I'm really excited about, this record I'm putting out. And I've been blessed to be able to work with so many bands, produce and write bands this year. And, it's a beautiful thing, man. It's fine that I'm not going to be, a fucking pop star. It's okay.
Yeah.
It is okay.
I'll get over it.
Well, you're far from done, so who knows what the future holds, man.
No,
Don't ever count yourself out.
I got to write like a fucking Oasis, Wonderwall, and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Nothing's stopping you.
I mean, there's no reason that one of your songs can't hit like that. I think all of your songs have potential, everything I've heard. So it's just a matter of getting more ears to hear it and some of the right people to support it. And it's not because you don't have the goods.
Well, I appreciate that, man. That means a lot. Seriously.
Yeah.
When you tell me that, it makes me feel good. So I appreciate it, man.
Thanks for hanging with us today, man.
Yep.
Yeah,
all right.
Absolutely.
All right.
On behalf of my co-host Jason McMaster, I'm Metal Dave, along with our special guest today, Tuk Smith, with us on the Talk Louder podcast.
All right. I love you guys. We'll talk soon.